Take a breath. Welcome to Space to Exhale, the podcast, weekly inspiration for self-love and soft living. I am your host, Zhalisa Hurley. I'm a 3-time Anthem Award winner, Reiki master, and community builder. And I'm the author of the book, Space to Exhale. Through healing modalities like breathwork, affirmations, and meditations, I'll guide you on a life-changing journey to help you know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, and create much-needed space to exhale. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Space to Exhale, the podcast, a safe, serene sanctuary where we focus on high vibrations, affirmations, soft living, and self-care. I'm your host, Zhalisa Hurley. I'm the author of Space to Exhale, a handbook for curating a soft, centered, serene life. I'm here to help us all do just that. Relax, take a breath, say no to hustle culture, and yes to a life of ease. My hope and dream is for us all to curate lives that we don't feel we need a break from. Today, I'll be joined by a very special guest, my soul sister, Zee Clarke. And while I add her to stage, let me read you Zee's amazing bio because she is truly phenomenal. So Zee Clarke is a breathwork and resilient expert and the author of the groundbreaking book, Black People Breathe. Trained in India, she's a Harvard MBA that went from leading teams at Fortune 500 companies to teaching powerful tools to improve our mental health and well-being in the workplace. Her Breathwork at Work program helps companies support their entire workforce in reducing stress, boosting productivity, and prioritizing self-care. Her Black at Work program focuses on helping people of color manage the chronic stress and professional development challenges resulting from microaggressions and systemic racism. Companies like Google, Visa, and AMC Networks are supporting the well-being of their teams with these programs. Zee has been featured in many leading publications, including, listen to this, Fortune, Forbes, Oprah Daily, ABC, CNBC, Ebony Essence, and Fast Company. Yes! And you can follow Zee on LinkedIn, YouTube, or at Zee Clarke Breathes on Instagram and TikTok for weekly breathwork practices and tools. So Zee, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Oh, I'm excited. This has been a long time coming. We've been planning something like this for, it feels like well over a year now, but finally,
I love it.
we get to do this. So thank you.
So happy to be here.
Thank you. And so for those of you who are new here, every episode we start with a few breaths. It's called Space to Exhale, and we're going to do exactly that. So let's take a moment and do a few breaths together. So relax, close your eyes. Relax your shoulders, bring your shoulders down from around your ears. Relax those micro muscles in your forehead, around your eyes, even around your mouth. And now inhale for 3 through your nose and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And one more time, inhale and exhale. And then as we go into the show, the next thing that I want us to do is focus on today's affirmation, which is, I am giving myself time and space to exhale, because today's show is all about breath work. You have the author of Space to Exhale and Black People Breathe. So you already know what you're in for. Zee and I are all about breathing, exhaling, relaxing, rest, mindfulness, all of that. And so, as we go through the episode, keep this affirmation in mind and let it help ground you as you listen. For those of you who are new here, every episode I read an excerpt from Space to Exhale, which I will be doing very, very shortly. But I have a special treat for you today because Z is also going to be reading a brief excerpt from her book as well, Black People Breathe. I'll let you know when that is coming. But let's start off first setting the tone. I'm going to read a very brief excerpt from Space to Exhale, and then we will get into the questions. So here we go. And this is from the author's note of Space to Exhale. So let us take a collective breath, inhaling ease and joy and peace. Exhaling the exhaustion and disconnection so many of us feel. Breathe, breathe, breathe. It is time for a divine recalibration. I am ready for one. And by opting to respond when this book chose you, you are clearly ready for one too. We are aligned and we are agreed. There must be a better way of living this thing called life. Not hurried or harried or constantly hustling, but soft, centered, serene. This is your invitation to a life gently lived, to a state of grace, to a return to self, to a slower pace. This is your invitation to practice the pause, to divest and rest, to be much more, to do much less. Beloved, this is your invitation to exhale. We have created a sacred space in which to do our healing work. So let us embark on this heart-centered journey together. Inhale, exhale. Let us commence. And so, Ms. Z,
Yes.
indeed commence. So, your book is Black People Breathe, a mindfulness guide to racial healing.
Mm.
And one of the things I love so much about it, and of course, I have it right here.
Mm.
Because it's amazing. This literally is one of my favorite books. I say this all the time. Everybody, please go out, buy this book. You will not be disappointed. It's absolutely amazing. And it's gorgeous. So my question is, what led you to get to the point where you wanted to move from, you knew you needed to move from burnout to focus on breath work? What was the catalyst that led you there?
Knew that I needed to transition from burnout. let me tell you, it's
How many red flags were there?
it's not just a knowing. I'd say it's a journey of my whole life that culminated in a moment that impacted my mental and physical health. So I was working in Silicon Valley, and as you might imagine, there were many, many moments, the majority of them, where I was the only in the room.
Yes.
The only woman in the room, and also the only Black woman and Black person, sometimes the room, the floor, the company. And I felt like I always had to prove myself. I remember first week of work at a company, somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, are you the new diversity hire?" And I, if somebody is implying that the only reason I got my VP job was because of diversity, that made me need to prove myself even more. So I'm working harder, I'm working nights, I'm working weekends, and all of that stress. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, my immune system was in the gutter, I had a cancer scare. And mental health affects physical health.
Yes.
And I grew up in a household that mental health was not, those were not words that were even permitted to be said.
Yes. That's part of our culture a bit, though, isn't it? Of many Black, not all, but many Black cultures are not into even admitting that mental health issues exist, right?
It's true. And it's because we historically did not have the privilege of being able to stay home from work if we were sick physically or mentally. There was just never any space for that. So this is inherited because of
Yes.
all of the things that happened in our history. And so with that upbringing, mental health, anxiety, not sleeping, that wasn't going to make me quit my job. What happens is my doctors told me that something had to change with my stress levels because of my physical health.
Wow.
That's when I decided to take action. And so I quit my job. I
Mhm.
went to India, and that began a healing journey that was so deep and so profound. I didn't even realize that my
Mhm.
shoulders were up to my ears
Right.
just since I was 8 years old. The first day of school, I went to a private all-girls school in Bethesda, Maryland.
Were
Um,
you, were you one of the only
not one of.
I was trying to be nice. I was like, I pretty much knew the answer, but I'm like, just in case.
It was
Just in
the
case.
only, and so all of that. This was amazing because I learned so many powerful tools in India that made me feel better than I'd ever felt in my entire life. I didn't know that one could exist in such peace, in such, just feeling good in my body, in my soul. And so when I went back to work,
Right.
started using these tools, and that gave me the idea to start teaching these tools. Yeah.
Right. 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 Oh, that is. Oh, I relate. I wish I didn't relate, but I do. I do. I understand about feeling that level of stress that you just need to get away. And by get away, I don't. It's not a running away or turning your back on or a denial. It is literally you just need to make some space for yourself to be able to recover and
Yes.
get back to center.
Yes.
So why India? Like like in your
Mhm.
book you mentioned, okay, like you did your version, the Black girl version of Eat, Pray, Love. You went to India. Like tell us
Yes.
a little bit more about that. Like why did you choose India? What was the
Yeah.
program?
Yeah.
All the
Okay.
details. Yeah.
So I was living in the Bay Area, and I was already starting to explore a lot of holistic healing practices. So I started going to a meditation group. I was doing yoga, and I started doing a lot more yoga. And I was realizing that yoga helped me immensely. And my teacher was a white woman. And most of in the city of San Francisco, and I'll say I was in Oakland recently, very similar.
Yeah.
Even in Oakland, that most of the teachers that I would encounter were not people of color. And so I was learning a lot of yoga practices from a different culture. And I felt like something was lost in translation. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went to India because I wanted to learn from the source. White people
Yes.
did not invent yoga, and I'm not saying anybody claimed to. I'm just saying that I preferred, or I had a desire to go straight to the source and say, well, where did this come from? And let me learn from the traditions without the translation issues, right?
Yes.
And so I went to India. The yoga teacher program that I did was focused on Ayurveda. So I was in the southern part of India,
Yes.
Kerala,
Yes.
which is known for being very peaceful. And Ayurveda, if you're not familiar, is an ancient form of medicine that uses a lot of natural methods in order to heal, right? That it's not just drugs, as we do in our Western culture. And it's been used for thousands of years. And so the program that I learned was focused on Ayurveda, but a huge component of it, the one that really changed my life, and our topic here today, was breath work. Because
Mhm.
it blew my mind that a simple breathing practice that you could do in just a couple minutes could change how you feel immediately. And there's a different breathing practice for when you're anxious versus when you are tired versus when you're overwhelmed. And it changed my life because when I came back and went back to corporate and started working again, I started using those breathing practices. I loved at the beginning your invitation for us to take the space to exhale. And what came to my mind was the movie Waiting to Exhale,
Yes. Yes.
because we don't need to be waiting. Yeah.
No more waiting. No more waiting. It is time for us to exhale. It is time for us to relax. It is time for us to live more gently and fully
Yeah.
and in a more centered way.
Mm.
And I love, although of course I am not happy about the circumstances that led to what I personally call the 92% movement,
Yes.
right? Not
Yes.
happy about these circumstances, but I am happy that this has been our response.
Yes.
Because a lot of Black women, especially Black people in general, but Black women especially, have just, it seems like there's sort of been a switch that went off, a realization, right? That, oh, we really just need to focus on us. We really just need to focus on our health, on our well being,
Yeah.
physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in all the ways, and just get back to community and self care and things that used to be part of many of our, I guess, like ancestral communities,
Yeah.
right? Get back to our roots, basically. And I'm
Yes.
so happy that we're getting there and we're doing it finally.
Yes. And I want to, a word came to mind as you were speaking, which is identity, because I used to be somebody that my identity was my job, like wherever I worked, right? And
Mhm.
so what happened, especially as I started having health problems, is I realized that I am me regardless of what's on my LinkedIn. And I need to take care of myself regardless of where my income comes from. Because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to be my best self, not only at work, but also at home with my family, with community, etc.
Yeah, I did a post the other day where I said I don't have any any 9 to 5 job. I don't have any of my quote unquote corporate jobs on my LinkedIn, not a solitary one. And it's for multiple reasons. I mean, yes, there's privacy reasons, da, da, da. But honestly, the main reason is like that's not, the jobs are not me. The
Mm,
jobs are not me. The titles are not me. And
mm,
in general, most companies honestly don't really care about their employees. Like if you leave, if
mm.
I'm just saying, they don't, right? And so I'm not going to give up my valuable real estate advertising for a company, any company that would let me go in 5 seconds, or downsize. Is right. What are we at now? Between 300 and 400,000 Black women that have lost their jobs,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
I'm sure many of these women, unfortunately, this is such an unfortunate reality, right? We're
Yeah,
loyal to these companies and to these jobs,
yeah,
right? But
yeah.
these jobs, to paraphrase, these jobs ain't loyal, right?
Yes. And here's the question is, and
Mhm.
I invite everybody listening, how many times have you sacrificed your health
Yes.
for your job? And even something as simple as I only slept for 5 hours last night because, right?
Mhm.
Or skipping something that you know is good for you. Or have you ever worked on vacation? You know what I mean? Like,
That's so sad. That's so sad. That was a big culture shock for me here, because I started my career in Barbados and then I moved here. And let me tell you, and that's not to say that we don't work hard in the Caribbean, right? But it is, there is a definite cultural difference. I had never, until I came here, I had never known about people working while on vacation. I was like, but isn't that like an oxymoron? Like, how does this explain it? Because the logic is not logicking for me. Like the two things don't go together. People would, if somebody was going on holiday, as we would call it, they were going on holiday, they would put the preparations in place, do the information handoff, all the stuff, knowledge transfer, and so on. And then they would go on vacation, and you would you would see them 3 weeks later when they return. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And over here, like reading and seeing about, people who, women in the delivery room on their laptops, and I'm like, are y'all okay? Like this is not good. Not good at all. And so yes, so many people have sacrificed themselves and their health and all of that in the
Mhm.
name of work. But I believe that life comes before work. Like
Yes.
if you are not here, if
Yes.
you are not here, then the work is not going to happen anyway.
Yep.
And I also believe that one's family, one's community, whether chosen or the family you're born into, one's family and community really should be primary,
Mm.
right? If work is primary, then where really are we, you know
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And, I'll just say that I have, I went to Harvard Business School and I have a lot of friends that are in leadership positions. And I have multiple friends whose kids have complained to me, the friend, that their parents are never home. Um,
Yeah.
And they have complained to me that there's just no quality time. And even people's spouses have complained to me about my friends.
Yeah. And you need to ask, you really need to wonder, okay, well, what are we doing? What's all the doing for?
Yeah.
My thing is never, I'm never going to be the person, I don't think, that doesn't do anything or that doesn't work, right? By which I mean, and I don't mean work in a 9 to 5, I mean do something. I'm naturally a productive person. I'm creative. I'm probably going to be writing poems or, whatever it happens to be. But I don't think that is like doing 9 to 5 work, doing corporate work. That can't be, that is not the main focus of life. Like if you're doing all of this, but you don't have time to spend with the people that are supposed to be the closest to you, your family, your spouse, your partner, whatever, your children, right? So you're at work all the time. You don't see your kids. Why?
Yeah.
What's the logic?
Yeah.
What's the logic? Anyway, I want to ask a selfish question here.
Okay.
as an author, and
Okay.
then we'll get back to the main thing. We're going to take a little side quest.
Okay.
So my side quest question is, when you first pitched your book, and I'm assuming you pitched it, this might not be the case, but when you first pitched your book, right, did you get any pushback about the title and the target audience? And I'm asking because Black People Breathe is very definitive.
Sure is. It sure is.
Unapologetic. So tell me some of the backstory.
Well, you see, the times have changed.
The times, they have changed.
Oh, so I will tell you that this all happened in 2020, maybe. Maybe 2021, but I really think it was 2020 that I was engaging with publishers about this book. And let's all think back to a time when our country out loud cared about Black people proactively, and when diversity wasn't a bad word. Do we remember? It just feels
vaguely. It's a distant memory.
But back in the day, there was a period where Black Lives Matter was a movement that a lot of people, regardless of what they looked like, embraced. And so I will say that in that era, it was very much embraced. People, companies, publishers wanted to, I'll say, I wanted to say wanted to care. I believe everybody cared. I also believe
I know what you mean.
that PR, that from a publicity perspective, from a brand image perspective, everyone wanted to be on the right side, and the right side was pro-Black. So with that said, I did not have any problems. People embraced the idea that I was doing something specifically for Black people. And it was very, very, very much celebrated. I would say that if I tried to pitch this book this year, and congratulations on launching your book this year, in this era, I'll just, without any adjectives, in this era, I think it would be
the orange era.
harder. Even Trump shared a list earlier this year of all the words that you couldn't use if you received any government funding. Like, I feel like female was on that list, like breastfeeding was on that list, mental health was on that list. Okay. I don't know if Black was on that list, but it might have been, right? And so
I'm gonna take a guess that it was.
Yeah. Right. And so it's almost like Black has become a bad word. Even organizations that have women in it have had to rethink whether they were going to keep the word women in their names. And so times have changed. Back then, it was embraced. And today, we are living in a different reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I was very pleased and, impressed and pleased when I, first came across your book and saw the title. I was like, yes, I am here for this. And because it was, and it's specifically about dealing with the effects of racism and sort of surviving hostile conditions, shall we say?
Yeah.
Hostile, unfavorable workplace conditions. Let's just call it that. So speaking of which, so your book and your whole ethos is about centering the lived realities of Black people navigating racial trauma. So how have you tailored your teachings to make sure that they feel safe for people who look like us? Because I've also been as you mentioned earlier, I've been in the yoga class or whatever it happens to
Mhm.
be, been the only person there, the only
Mhm.
person of color
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Um, heard a few off-color comments, that kind of thing. So how have you changed your work and
Yeah.
positioned your work so it feels safe for us?
Yeah. Well, I made it a purpose when I first started doing this work to really focus on the issues that Black people and all people of color, to be perfectly honest, in this country face in our realities, both in our, at work and outside of work. So, in the work context, for example, I teach corporate workshops and I teach some that are for everybody. So, stress
Yes.
management, anxiety, how do you practice self-care when timing is tight? I have workshops that are for everybody.
Hmm.
And then in addition to that, I have workshops particularly tailored to Black communities. For example, managing the need to outperform, right? Or how to heal from microaggressions and racism, right?
Hmm.
And even things like I have a workshop called Playing and Winning the Office Politics Game, which I'll
Ooh.
just say that, like, we know it's a politics game. Others might, you know what I mean? But it needs to be navigated a little bit differently for
Hmm.
us because we know that our voices are received differently than others. So in a world where that exists, where biases exist,
Hmm.
then what can we do to play that game effectively and achieve our goals? And so what I'll say, and even in my book, so that
Yeah.
those are work scenarios, but in my book, I talk about other scenarios that happen in everyday life. There's a
Hmm.
chapter in my book called Shopping While Black.
Oh my
And
gosh, yes. When I saw that, I was like, oh, absolutely, really, 100%.
right, like you
100%.
looked at differently, maybe followed around a store.
Mhm.
I shared a story of when the police came to a grocery store and accused me of shoplifting deli meat as a vegan, and the hours and hours that they spent searching my car and all of my belongings in search of the mystery meat that the vegan did not have, right? And so what do you do in these moments, whether it's you experience a microaggression at work, you experience racial profiling, whether it's at school, your kid's school or at the store.
Mhm.
And there are breathing practices that you can do in these moments to calm your nervous system. So I teach these breathing practices and these mindfulness practices to everybody for general stress. And
Mhm.
then I also tailor specific practices, and I do that in my book with specific
Yeah.
scenarios that we experience, whether they are at work or outside of work.
Yeah, I definitely appreciated that about your book because every scenario that you mentioned was something that either I had been through myself
Mhm.
or it had happened to someone that I knew, someone close to me, a family member, a friend, or whatever. And I thought about there's a section where you talk about basically what you choose to engage with in terms of, shall we say, what's happening in society, what are you consuming on TV, all of this. I don't know if this is the right term, I call it secondhand trauma,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And how do you deal with that? And that part of your book I found really, really interesting and valuable, because those are things that one often does not think about. So yes, the shopping while black, absolutely, a lot of people can relate to that, but very few of us, I think, sit down and think, wow, like, I'm here scrolling on my phone, I'm watching TV, I'm on YouTube and
Yeah.
being affected by all of this. So how do I navigate that in a healthy way?
Yeah. And especially there's so much coming at us in the news. I mean, even recently, the college student that I don't
Two,
want to use an L word, so I'm not going to say it out loud.
two
Yeah,
of them,
two
two
of
of
them.
them. Yeah, yeah,
And so when you witness, I'm going to use a word murder, but people can use different words if they so choose. But when you witness these things, that's traumatic. That
yes,
is traumatic, just witnessing it. And
yes,
so we need to be intentional about what we consume and when. I mean,
mhm,
even what's happening, in Palestine, right? And some of the footage of
yeah,
children is traumatic. And so,
mhm,
in order to take care of ourselves, we need to be intentional about when and how we consume the news, right? And so, in my book, in that chapter, I share a framework of one, checking in, like, to watch these things or not, or when. It's like, well, how am I feeling right now?
mhm,
How will watching this impact me? where am I and who am I with,
Mhm.
right? And do I have the time and space to take care of myself afterwards? Right. And so here, it's like, I know it sounds like a lot of questions when you look at a notification. I might suggest turning off the news notifications on your phone and
That's number one. That's step number one.
every day I will check the news, and the rest of the day I will be present with my day, versus allowing the news channels, which by the way make money off of your pain, because it's like they know that something really terrible is going to get your eyeballs, get you attracted. It's like the
Yes.
train wreck, right?
Mhm.
And so why are we giving them the power to influence how our day goes?
Right. Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And knowing that we have that power is
Yeah,
so important. I don't think that many of us take the time
yeah,
to pause and realize we don't have control over everything,
yeah,
but we have control over quite a few things, including what we choose to engage with, how we choose to engage with it, and when and how we choose to respond or not. And
yep,
like you said, you said at a high level, okay, ingesting all of this media and all of this trauma, it is stressful on the body, and it
yes,
is
yes,
painful, and it is traumatic at a high level. But
yes.
here's where I would like you, if you don't mind, to read the wonderful excerpt from the introduction to your book as the answer to this question, really. So what
Yes.
are what are some of the signs, some of
Mm,
the physical signs that one has been
yeah,
dealing with stress, living in survival mode without even realizing it?
yeah.
And so I'm going to turn over to you because you answered it perfectly in your introduction. So we cannot improve on perfection. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And yes, everybody just enjoy this excerpt from Black People Breathe by Zee Clarke.
All right, here we go. Angry, frustrated, undervalued, shocked, sad, attacked, ashamed, anxious. This is what we Black people feel, and so much more when we experience racism. Doctors and psychologists are finding that the experience of racism can result in a wide range of health impacts that kill us slowly, death by 1,000 cuts. Researchers at Columbia University found that racism causes traumatic stress linked to negative mental health impacts such as depression, anger, hypervigilance, and low self esteem. Chronically high levels of stress hormones in the bloodstream cause severe physical health outcomes, and racism has been linked to significantly higher rates of heart disease and high blood pressure in African Americans. Studies also find that racial discrimination causes unhealthy behaviors, including overeating and substance abuse. We can't wait for white people to get woke because we'll lose too many of our people in the process. But there is something we can do. It's a secret that's been around for thousands of years. I discovered this when I was in Oakland, California, and then in India, where I went deeper into my studies. So, what's the secret? Mindfulness. It's the cheapest medical treatment you'll find on the market without the long list of side effects. Mindfulness doesn't mean meditating in an ashram or a monastery. Something as simple as taking a deep breath is also mindfulness. And it can literally change the way you feel physically, mentally, and emotional. I used to think that meditation and yoga were not for people that looked like me. The few times I went to any classes, I was the only Black person, which only solidified this misconception. However, the more I learned, the more I realized that Black people actually need it most, and it works. Studies show that mindfulness practices reduce stress, blood pressure, heart disease, and so many more health issues that Black people face on a daily basis as a direct result of the harsh impact that systemic racism, microaggressions, and overt hate crimes have on our lives. These practices can be done regardless of your religion, and the effects are real time. But don't just take my word for it. The best way to truly understand the benefits is to try them out. This isn't a book to read once and let sit on your shelf. This is the ultimate guide to your physical and mental health when it comes to racism. It is our right to survive. It is our right to thrive. Mindfulness and breathwork will help you do just that.
Oh, round of applause, round of applause. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And this is what I wanted you to read that there, because sometimes saying, okay, being exposed to racism causes stress. That can sound very theoretical, like
Yeah.
what, right? So not saying that it is, but it's not concrete enough. But
Yeah.
saying high blood pressure,
Right. We know everybody knows somebody in their family, like Black people, especially, right? We just have
right? Everybody knows, right? And so saying, actually naming the effects and naming the conditions that can result from this
yes.
are so important. And speaking of high blood pressure, I mean, TMI, but I definitely, have some blood pressure issues myself.
Yeah.
The other day I went through a situation,
Mm,
and when I tested my blood pressure afterwards, it
mm.
was at 180 over
Oh,
76,
oh.
right? And which we all know is not good at all.
Mhm.
However,
Mm.
however, I did stop, and this is the beauty of what you do. This is the beauty of what you do, because when I heard that number, I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah. Yeah.
My initial reaction was to panic. I
Mm.
thought, "No, you got this. You
Yes.
got this. You are prepared for this." And I sat right there. I did some breath work. And the great thing about breath work, as you know, is that it's accessible,
Yep.
right? It is, what was it you said? It's the cheapest. It's breath work and mindfulness, the cheapest medicine that you can find, apart from maybe the sunshine, right?
Yes.
And so I just did a couple of breathing exercises right there.
Mm,
And
exactly.
there's one, oh my gosh, I hope I don't, I know I'm gonna say the wrong name, but there's one, there's a bunch with numbers.
So
There's
it's
555, there's 555, and I think there is, I don't want to say 678, but I'm probably
there's
wrong.
there is one that I particularly teach for helping people to sleep and anxiety, which is 478, which is in
Thank you. That's the one.
hold for 7, exhale
Yes.
for 8. And that is really good in the moment
Yes.
for calming your nervous system.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Yes.
there's
Your book
science
taught me
behind
that.
what happened to you, right?
Mhm.
Like triggering event, like something happens, and
Yes.
then then that stress hormone, the stress comes out, cortisol levels increase, and then
Mhm.
suddenly we're not thinking straight. Our blood pressure shoots up, our
Mhm.
sympathetic nervous system, which is our stress response, kicks into effect. And this is the same thing as when animals think they're getting attacked in the woods, right? Like
Yes.
that, the exact same thing happens in our body, and we
Mhm.
can counter that with breathing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it really does work. And there are even times where, if I'm testing my blood pressure at home, and if it's not, I mean, it usually isn't like that horrible number that I just mentioned, thankfully. But
Happens.
if it's a little higher than I want, I do some breath work,
Yeah.
bring it all the way back down, and I'm telling you, it really does work. It really
We-
does work.
Should we maybe, do you want to do the 478 right now? I feel like this is a good spot for it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to yeah, hand it over to you. You lead the way. I'm gonna close my eyes and just be a fly on the wall and take some of this good energy in. So you lead us to it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, just to review, 478 breathing. This is really good. If you can't fall asleep, you can do this while lying in bed. If you're really anxious because you're worried about something that's about to happen, it can calm you down. You inhale for a count of 4, you hold your breath for a count of 7, and you exhale for a count of 8. If you are new to breath work, this holding for so long, exhaling for so long can be challenging. And so I invite you to count a little faster at first, and then eventually you work your way to slow down, ideally like 1 second per breath. But typically I'll teach it a little bit faster than intended for the beginners. So I'm going to do like a little bit of a medium pace. All right. So I invite everybody, wherever you are, to sit up straight. Allow your shoulders to fall away from your ears. We're going to breathe in and out through the nose. And let's go. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. And allow the breath to be natural. So, research says 2 minutes of this, 2 minutes, medical research, doctors, Western trained doctors that are learning about things that have been done for thousands of years show that this stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. So that is the opposite. That's the brakes on that stress response. And so, Lisa, how do you feel?
I feel like you might need to take over the rest of the episode because I am so relaxed. It was like, how do I bring myself back to being host mode right now? Because I really went all the way into it. And I feel completely different. I feel softer.
Yeah.
I not quite, that's the word that comes to mind. I feel softer. I feel a bit happier.
Yeah.
Definitely more relaxed. So what I find interesting, so I have another question for you. When you are leading a breathwork session, you as the teacher, so to speak, do you receive the benefits as well? Or because you are in guide mode, are you not able to? I'm just curious.
So when I, like just now, for example, I'm doing the counting, right? Which means that I can't be doing the breathing because I'm counting. So in that sense, like I'm not getting the nervous system benefit from the breathing. I'm not doing the breathing. But I will tell you this: stress is contagious. You know what also is contagious? Calm. And so we are having energy exchanges all the time, every interaction. You've heard people say, oh, I didn't really like that person's vibe. Vibe for vibration. This is the energy that we're sending. Have you noticed maybe one time a person might come in the room and they have kind of negative energy and that you feel that? Similarly, somebody might come into the room and they just feel like they're bringing the light. That's also sharing the energy, a different type of energy. And so I'll say that from guiding these practices, I am able to shift the energy in the room, even if it's a virtual digital room. And that together, all of this, we can actually help change the world. Because if you think about all the hate that's happening and all the negativity, it's because those hurt people hurt other people. You know what I mean? And so if we can transform our own inner pain, right, and spread calm and love, then that has a multiplier effect.
Yes, I fully agree that when I love everything that you just said. When I wrote Space to Exhale, that's part of what I wanted, right? It's to, like you said, to elevate the energy, create more peace, more joy, more calm. And I can well imagine when you wrote Black People Breathe, because I see it as a healing manual, so to speak, right? And when for multiple reasons, when I interact with this book, and again, folks, here it is, and it is absolutely beautiful, hardcover, a little sheen there.
Inside, it's illustrated with
I
photos.
was just listen. I'm like I should have had bookmarks, but hold on. I'm gonna show the people right now. So this is from Being the Only. Let me see if I can get it in front of my camera. That's one of the illustrations there. And this is the one. Look right here. Mindfulness toolkit right here. But look at this beautiful illustration. And so this is how the book is, and it's healing not just because there are illustrations. I don't know, illustrations make me happy in general, but
especially of us, we don't usually see us.
That's it. I'm like, everybody's brown in here. Like, look at this queen. It says queen. And so people might not think of that as part of the healing work of the book. I certainly received it that way, because we are reflected not only in your words, but in all of the beautiful illustrations and images. Just absolutely lovely. And this, of course, this is one for those of you who are listening. This illustration is of a Black woman soaking in a bathtub, head wrapped in a towel. She's having a journey to self-love, her spa day, and she is just soaking, literally soaking up some self-care.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of, every single part of the book, right,
Yeah.
should be aligned with the mission of the book. And you definitely achieved that.
Mm.
Oh my gosh.
Thank
Yes.
you. And those images, the reason we were so intentional is because, especially for me, having studied all these things, it was so rare to see anybody with my skin complexion in
Yes.
any of it learning tools.
Yeah.
And I felt, that this all started for me at the East Bay Meditation Center in Oakland, California, because they had a people of color meditation night. And, that is where I saw folks that looked like us meditating. And I looked around the room and I was like, well, if they can meditate, I can meditate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Wait, didn't you see like a famous author or someone at one of the classes? Oh my gosh, who was it? I can't remember right now.
Alice Waters?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like Alice Walker, sorry.
I knew Alice Walker. Yes, I knew who you meant.
Yeah. But it was just so powerful to see her and be like, okay, like the color purple, right? Like womanist, right? Like I mean, somebody like a hero of mine is.
Yes.
It was just so amazing. Be like, you meditate also. It's just so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. To know that one of your sheroes is doing sort of like is on the same journey, on a similar journey as you.
Yes.
It really makes a huge difference because you this is someone you look up to and you're like, oh, well, if it's good for her, it's definitely good for me. And if she can do it, then I can do it.
Yes.
And she's cool. I want to be cool. I'm going to do the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that at all. I would definitely have found that inspiring, so I completely understand. So the illustration that I just shared from your book, I just showed everyone this Black woman. She's in her tub, right? Towel wrapped, spa day, just soaking up all of the amazingness, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of us feel guilty about doing things like that. So how do you respond to Black women, especially who feel guilty about taking some of that time off or taking that self-care time, that self-love time? How do you guide them through that?
I share this quote a lot. I'm going to share it again. Can't be said enough. Audre Lorde, you might have heard it. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare.
Amen to that.
Especially today. And so I'll just share, there's a mantra in my book that I share, which is today I choose me. Today I choose me, because many of us put other people first. We put our jobs first, our families first. But, they have that metaphor, the analogy to say on a plane, put your mask on first before you help others. Because if your cup is not full, you don't have any extra to give. And so, and I know that self-care, a lot of people that I know are like, I don't have time for self-care, Zee. And so I want to share just some quick tips on things that you can do, because it doesn't have to take a lot of time. So I want to invite in breaks in the middle of your day, like a micro pause, right? Even just 60 seconds or 2 minutes to breathe at your desk, do a stretch, like just a little neck roll, just like even right now, everybody, wherever you are, do a little neck roll, some shoulder rolls, take 60 seconds, do that. The other thing is to be intentional about your routines. So of course, in the day, work day, especially if you have a 9 to 5, or depending on where you work, it's an 8 to 8 or more.
6 to 10.
What reality looks like, y'all. And so what are you doing in your time when you first wake up in the morning, right? Like, be intentional about that time. I love to advise a daily check-in every morning. Ask yourself, how am I doing? How am I feeling? And if the answer is tired, take away the extra stuff that doesn't need to be done today. If the answer is tender, right? Maybe you're a little emotional. Take some time to call a friend or have a supportive chat with somebody, right? Your phone Don't allow your phone to be the first thing that you look at in the morning. I know a lot of folks, and it used to be me, that was my alarm clock, but then the notification of the news stuff and the
Yes.
terrible things happening in the world would be how I entered my day, and I didn't choose that. So
Yeah.
phone last, buy an alarm clock, use your Alexa or whatever device that you have. And then think about things that nourish you, exercise, gratitude, journaling, and do that either in the morning or in the evening, because also be intentional about your wind down routine. So like no screen
Mm.
time, because it's going to mess with your sleep right beforehand, right? And just think about what helps you to wind down. I love taking long baths if I have time, right? Or even just like reading a book, quiet time, prayer, depending on what, but what gratitude, whatever it works for you. But just pick a couple things that nourish you and make sure you do that. And nobody can mess with that time, because today I choose me.
I love that. I love that. Y'all, I hope y'all are taking in all of these gems that Z is dropping, because this is how you do it. We talk about soft living, we talk about mindful living, and they sound sort of pie in the sky and almost sometimes maybe unattainable, but this is how you do it. Bit by bit by bit, practice by practice, choice by choice. And
Yeah.
so we're not saying to necessarily, although I personally would love to go to India right now. I'm like, Z, book me a trip right now. But we're not saying necessary to do that. But let's say you can't do that, or you don't want to, but you can journal for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You can breathe. Z suggested breathing for 60 seconds to 2 minutes. You can do that.
You can.
You
If you
have
choose
that
to.
time. And I'm glad you addressed that, Z, because a lot, I was going to ask this question, and you got to it, and I'm like, thank goodness she answered it, because a lot of people will say, but I don't have the time.
Yeah.
You have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You have 2 minutes.
The other thing that I wanted to say is that you have to schedule time as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so one of the practices I share in my book, Black People Breathe, is finishing the sentence, I feel restored when. I feel restored when, and making a list of things that help you to feel nourished. It could be going for a run. It could be sitting in the sun. It could be taking a bath. Vacations also are included in that. So, I also want to mention that I'm hosting a retreat in your home country, Barbados.
Girl, listen. Let me tell you, that is where, girl, we are so in sync, because I want to ask you, I'm going to ask you about that. But yeah, so give the people a little hint, but we're gonna circle back,
Yes.
because you are, and I want you to tell the people all the details, but we'll get there. We're gonna circle back, and you'll give them everything.
Yes. So, I mean, the reason I bring up the retreat is because some things you need to schedule in advance.
Yes.
So like something like a vacation. And here's the thing, a retreat is different than a vacation, because often we go on vacation and we pack the schedule and we're go, and I'm going to see this and I'm going to do this, but like sometimes we're not intentional. And so just look at your calendar, like especially we're in Q4, right? This is time to plan the rest in 2026, because if you don't plan your rest in advance, your calendar is going to get packed and you won't have time. I know so many people that don't use their vacation days. Okay. And it's like, but this is there, it's there for a reason. So plan your rest.
It is so necessary. And I don't know that I've ever actually fully done what you just suggested, as in plan my vacation out, or my time off out the year before. I think that is that's actually kind of revolutionary. And people might not think of it that way. I think of it that way because so many of us are in reactive mode.
Yes.
As opposed to proactive mode. And so, we get burned out. I've done it. Get burned out to the point where like you're just burned to a cinder, burnt out right to a cinder.
And then you can't think straight. You don't even know what to do, which is why my I feel restored when list is you look at that list when you feel terrible and you say, I'm going to do that right now.
Yes, exactly. And so something that would restore me, that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to attend, and I'm so sad, but something that would restore me is your retreat that you're hosting in my home country. You hinted at it a little bit just now, but let us dig into it. We have a few minutes left.
Yes.
Tell the people all about the rejuvenation retreat for women of color.
Yes. The
Yes.
Rejuvenation Retreat for Women of Color is happening March 4th to 9th next year. So this is time to be planning that
Right?
rest.
Plan in advance, people. This is what she's talking
Yes.
about. Yes.
It is going to be an experience of community, of resting and rejuvenating with us. It's going to be at a luxury villa that is owned by a Black woman and her husband. Okay, right. We
Love
are
that.
supporting
Yes.
us. And it includes all the things that will be helpful for your rejuvenation. It includes a spa treatment, right? You'll get your massage. There's a private chef cooking local food that you are familiar with, and that food is delish. Oh my good,
It
just
is.
the flavors. It's like it's not the same here. Even if you tried to, it's not. It's there's something
It's not
about
the same.
local, the seasonings, the love, and then of course we're going to have breathwork sessions, yoga, sound healing. There's going to be a sunset dinner cruise, and a lot of time just for rest. And so this is the gift to yourself because we often don't do that enough. Yeah.
I love that so much. And oh my gosh, listen, if I can make it, I'm going to be there because it sounds amazing. So I have to ask though, what made you choose Barbados?
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what's interesting. So I am also of Caribbean descent. So my
Yes,
family is half my family is from Jamaica.
right?
But what ended
Big
up
up Jamaica.
Yes, was happenstance because Michelle Iffel, who owns this retreat center, she went to Harvard Law School. She was, also had the high power lawyer career,
Mhm.
and then she decided to dedicate her life to helping people rest because she too experienced the challenges of decades of dedicating your life to these companies. And so it was actually happenstance. I wasn't like where in the world? It's
Right.
Barbados. Sometimes the universe puts people together for a
Yes.
reason. And I was at an event and everybody kept saying, "Have you met Michelle? You need to meet Michelle. You need to meet Michelle." And Michelle is amazing because,
Oh,
when we understand what hard work looks like. Right?
yes.
We all do, right? And when you have folks that understand the hard work piece, but also they have that experience and can tell you, and this is how you recharge from it. This is how you unwind. And her thoughtfulness in this space, what she created,
Mm,
there's this infinity pool and just every little detail is
I
for
love
you to
it.
just exhale.
Oh, I love it. Well, on that note, on that note, let us bring this amazing episode to a close. And Z, thank you. Thank you so much. This
Yes.
again, it's been a long time coming. Definitely a dream come true for me. I feel like we are kindred spirits. We talk about the same things. We've written about the same things. We have a similar vibe. And so
Yeah.
thank you for blessing me and the listeners with your light and wisdom and presence. And so, folks, thank you so much for joining me on Space to Exhale, the podcast. Make sure to tune in every Tuesday live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook to catch the vibes. And if you can't make the live show, though I would love you to, that's no problem. Just subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and YouTube to catch the replay. And if you want to dive deeper into what Z and I discussed today, get a copy of both books. Get a copy of Space Exhale, get a copy of Black People Breathe. And oh, by the way, while you're on Amazon or wherever, drop us both some reviews, right? Let us know. I'm just saying, Z, right? I'm just saying. So Z is close to 100 reviews on Amazon, right? Get her over the 100 review mark. I'm close to 20. Get me over the 20 review mark. But seriously, definitely get both books because both books can help you heal and offer healing modalities for you to do so, right? And that's really what this is really about the healing and taking a breath.
Yeah.
Okay, so definitely go support us both, but also take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself and remember to give yourself time and space to exhale. And goodbye for now. Remember, you are worthy of rest,
Yes.
you are worthy of love,
Mm.
and you are worthy of having time and space to exhale. Goodbye, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.